Hey everyone, welcome to the Walk It Off Happy Hour Hang. It is Tuesday, February 15th, and Drew and Dave are here to hang with you for happy hour and talk about sports. Let's catch up, dude.
Yeah, we're sorry we missed you guys on the airwaves on Super Bowl Sunday. I know it's the biggest deal for a sports show, but look, we got a party too. And it's Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to do it upright. We take that day off every year so we can just have fun for ourselves. And look, let's be honest here. If you're listening to the sports show and you don't know what happened in the Super Bowl, and that's why we're doing this, right? We're catching up now.
We have to. We gotta put pen to paper, so to speak, and make sure that this is documented because I gotta say, we had well, man, I don't have to say anything. Like it's hard to describe. I wanted to. I can't say it was an epic Super Bowl, but I can say this: that was a damn good Super Bowl.
That was a damn good game.
Yeah,
It was entertaining. It was fun. We certainly had some issues, and I'll be honest with you guys, especially after that epic trip to Kansas City and hanging with the Bengals fans there. I was not biased for this game. I was rooting for Cincinnati pretty hard. We know. Couldn't be biased for this one, despite their defeat of the Titans, which still hurts. Didn't want that for sure. But yeah, I was rooting for the Bengals, and I loved watching this game. I really liked seeing both teams come into this game with a plan.
yeah,
It felt really good. We saw that the Bengals went into this game knowing that they weren't going to be able to stop that defensive line. And it was real fun to notice right away to everybody watching, everybody at the Super Bowl party. You're saying, look at this. Joe Burrow's getting the ball out as quickly as he possibly can every play. He's not
yeah,
giving them time to get home. And when you see Cincinnati's center, every play, he's turning to help out whoever's blocking Aaron Donald. And it was a great game plan that worked pretty well. And then we saw the Rams make adjustments off of that in the second half. Just we saw some real solid coaching from coaches who are very familiar with each other.
yeah. Very familiar with each other, and we need like I thought that's something that was really impressive to me was that there was a game plan. This was more of a coaching game, in my opinion, than anything, and that was really cool. I didn't feel like there was a major fault. Like I feel like even the clock management at the end was relatively solid, even though there wasn't much going
Yeah.
on there. And which is normally what you see in the Super Bowl, right? Like when it comes down to a final possession or a 2 minute drill, it's like this is what you practice all year for. And there wasn't a lot of that was falling. I thought I'm really glad you pointed it out. What Cincinnati did to defend against the defense in that first part of this game was I thought it was superb, but it just caught up to him in the end, which was something that I think everybody predicting the Super Bowl thought was going to happen eventually anyway. And it probably the biggest variable was that they held off that defensive line until they couldn't any longer, and it changed the tide of the whole game.
Yeah, it's nice to see a team recognize and address before the game starts what's going to be an obvious biggest weakness. Because a lot of times you see these coaches get stubborn and the lay fan, the people on the outside, the talking heads on your radio like us, who think, oh man, these are such obvious items to address. A coach will be like, no, I have faith in my guys. So it was nice to see that the Bengals really noticed this coming into it and had a plan. And it did, for the most part, work until we saw the Rams adjust late in the second half. And then at the end of that game, of course, Aaron Donald just made Aaron Donald plays.
Yeah. There's an argument to be made, although not a strong one, that Aaron Donald was the MVP of this game because that's what everything hinged on. Was him being able to get through that defensive line. And I don't know if it was a game plan so much as it was just his creativity. I mean, I know it was a game plan. It was the Rams found a way to break that down, but a lot of it was just Aaron Donald's individuality and the depth at that defensive line. Like Von Miller didn't have a sack, but
He
that
got home a
create
couple times.
yeah, and that creates those opportunities for Aaron Donald. So it's pretty incredible. I think it's gotten a lot of screen time. It's gotten a lot of talk tracks about how great that defensive line is for the Rams, but it's great. Like the people that they have there, the versatility that they have on that defensive line is insane. So obviously Aaron Donald is going to find a way to get a couple sacks. It's surprising that more folks didn't, but it's just bound to happen, and it paid off when it really needed to. It really changed the tide of the game. I I was impressed with Cincinnati holding them off as long as they did, though, especially after what we saw the Titans do to them in the playoffs.
Yeah, they knew that, and they did something to address it. Even though Joe Burrow got sacked, what, 8 times in this game, almost as many as the Titans did to him.
Yeah, yeah, it didn't feel that way though.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
And to see him gut it out after he hurt his leg later in the game, Stafford did the same thing, hurting his leg. This was just a really well played game on both sides, I thought. We didn't see too many big mistakes. Stafford threw 2 interceptions, but both of them were kind of arguable. One was off the hands of a fourth string wide receiver, and the other one, maybe Van Jefferson could have put up a little bit more of a fight on that, but it was pretty much a Hail Mary at that point to just throw it up and see what happens. Let your guy make a play. And Jesse Bates, who was someone we've pointed out, has made himself a lot of money going into free agency off of this postseason he's had, made just another great play.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. I really thought there would be a lot more hinging on quarterback mistakes in this game. And I don't want to take away from those interceptions that Stafford threw, especially. Those seemed like they could have and might have changed the game in favor of Cincinnati. But it really, these quarterbacks did their jobs. And I don't think they did game management jobs. I feel like they did like pretty superb jobs against really solid defenses. They gave their teams chances. They made plays. Like you said, they gutted it out, which, is something that I have a hard time with in sports in general, is this, play through the pain thing, even though I know you have to do it and it's your job, right? Like what else are you striving for than this? But it sucks. You got to put your body on the line to that degree. But I liked seeing what they both did still, even through that. Like they had these
It's
really
Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like it's Waterboy Dan Fouts last game of the season, leave it all on the field mentality. At that point, you have to. Well, it literally is the last game of the season. And those guys really did. Like they played all out. And you could tell that they both had something to prove in different talk about different stages in your career, different opportunities, seeing these quarterbacks there between Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford. And they both had something to prove, and they both proved it. They're both out there really playing their game. And I thought that was a lot of fun. That was a really great storyline from Super Bowl Sunday.
And they both could have had just all-time plays. I'll right away mention something that's what burns my biscuits. We haven't been doing that much lately, but I'll give you a what burns my biscuits. In this game, the television broadcast replay crew was terrible. We did not see enough replays of these really important plays. And when we did, we missed context. Like, especially, I want to talk about the last play of the game, where Aaron Donald came through and got to Joe Burrow. And somehow Burrow threw that ball as Donald is taking him down. We saw the play before that unreal play by Donald where he somehow in between two blockers just reached a big ass paw out there and stopped Pirine cold in his tracks short of the first down marker. Just an unreal play, a show of strength. And then Joe Burrow, wrapped up by that same guy, got the ball away. And watching that on TV, I was like, oh, man. That looked like it was close. It looked like it could have been caught. And they showed us the replay of Donald hitting Burrow about 3 or 4 times, but they never showed the ball landing again. So I had to get on social media and look around for replays from different angles after that, and kept watching that. That ball was at Pirine's feet when it landed.
Wow.
That was so close to a
Wow.
completion.
I didn't
It
catch
would have been a
that.
first down, would have kept that drive going, was damn near in field goal range, for Money Mac.
Yeah.
I mean, we were inches away from a spectacular all-time highlight in the Super Bowl from Joe Burrow to keep that drive alive. And I mean, I was talking about it with friends who were at the game too, just saying, how do you not dive for that ball if you're P. Ryan? How do you not lay out with the Super Bowl on the line on 4th down? How do you not dive when the ball is that close?
That's a good point.
And it blows my mind thinking, as someone who played sports and was never close at all to a moment like that, but in the biggest moment, you gotta lay out like that, right? To do whatever you possibly can. But again, if you think about this in the moment, he had to be absolutely shocked in the first place that ball even came remotely near him.
That's a good
Watching
point.
his quarterback, in the grasp, and then it just comes off at this crazy angle that he gets rid of the ball, and somehow, you don't have that much time to sit there and think about it. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I just think about how that could have been different. A diving catch, 1st down, and that game continues.
I love that psychology. First off, I didn't catch that one, so good call. Like to go back and look at some of those times. Like I wish we would have. Yeah, like that shows how important a replay crew is to a game like this. Like you're not your average fan in general, right? Like your average fan and below average fan, which is watching the Super Bowl, is going to have much less context about how good this game was and or how many pivotal moments there would have and could have been. And that's at the cause of the replay crew. It just shows how important it is to tell the story and the narrative of the game. But
you know what else we didn't see on that final play from the replay crew? Jamar Chase had Jalen Ramsey roasted off the line on that play.
Did he? Oh, I loved that
if
matchup.
Donald
though.
didn't get through,
yeah.
If Aaron Donald didn't get to Joe Burrow on that last play, I mean, that could have been a Bengals touchdown.
Talk about another guy who showed up, man. Jamar Chase showed up all season and has just consistently raised the bar. That Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase tandem is something that's set up to be epic for years to come.
I love that you brought that up because, our one of our favorite listeners, Christina from Cincinnati, rooting for the Bengals this whole time hard, wanted to be a special guest on our Super Bowl talk episode. Sorry it didn't work out, but wanted to make sure that we brought up this is Jamar Chase's first season in the NFL. This is Joe Burrow's first full season in the NFL. He was injured last year.
That's true.
As a rookie. I mean, this is a Bengals team that's going to be a problem in the future. And I was impressed, by Bengals fans. This was a game you could have been salty over real easily. And I'm sure we'll get to what happened at the end to determine that. But mostly what I heard was, just how great, how thankful, how proud they were of this Bengals team and how happy they are to have a winner to root for after such a long period in the wilderness for Bengals fans. There's so much optimism there. And that's a big reason for it, that you look at this great quarterback wide receiver combination and say, this was their first year together.
Yeah.
They both have long careers in this league. And if you are the Bengals and your biggest weakness, obviously, is the offensive line, you've got time to fix that up and then see what these guys could do with some pass protection.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's a lot of reason to be optimistic.
Yeah, and that's one of the perks of being the fans of a perennial loser. I don't mean to turn this in that perspective, but you and I have both been there.
We've all been there.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the more beautiful things is like you appreciate every last damn thing that comes through something like this. It's the same thought process that leads you to appreciate just getting to the playoffs and getting a playoff win, which frankly, I think Bengals fans would have been appreciative of just taking the Titans out, much less winning their wild card matchup. That either one of those, I think,
that game against the Raiders was their first playoff win in many, many Bengals fans' lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely, that's true, and that was enough to call
30.
this a successful season. Yeah, they and I think relative to punditry out there, they nobody expected them to go this far. They weren't the 9-7 Cardinals of 2018 or 9-6. I get no nine. Oh my, I can't even do math now that the number of weeks has changed. But either way,
Thanks,
like
NFL.
they didn't eke in. They weren't the worst team to get it, but and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase especially have done nothing but continually raise their game all season. This has been a team that has just gotten better as the season has gone. But I think they would have been just as content with winning that one game and being done. What a cool surprise to go on and play in the Super Bowl. This team has got, it's an exciting team. I don't know when they'll turn into, and this is something that every Cincinnati fan can only hope for, that they will turn into a hated team at some point or not an underdog, because they have the chance to win a championship or two in this time frame. I really think so, the way that they're structured right now. Sky's the limit, and what a great way to kind of kick off this generation of Bengals football.
Yeah, you were playing with house money. I mean, Chase McPherson's a rookie as well. The kicker is now beloved in Cincinnati.
I know.
You're talking about very young skill positions on this team. And in the meantime, they won their first playoff game in over 30 years. Then they knocked off the number 1 seed, which you're still mad about. Then they beat the Chiefs and Mahomes on the road in Arrowhead. Made it to the Super Bowl. Played one hell of a competitive game against the basically all-star team of the Rams. Yeah, that's a lot to look forward to if you're a Bengals fan right now.
It is. Can we pause on something there, though, real quick, that I don't think we planned on today, but I think Joe Burrow made some comment about beating the best team in the AFC Championship in the Kansas City Chiefs. Whoa. I know. And I don't know. I guess I don't know what my question is, Drew, but they did beat the Titans, which were the best team in the AFC, by the way. Just because they took them out a week early doesn't mean that they weren't. It was
that terrible Tannehill interception to do it.
I know.
And an amazing kick from McPherson.
It really did. I mean, that was a barely squeaked by kind of win. They I don't know. I felt like the momentum was that Kansas City was the best team, and you know what? It's sad because I almost was like, yeah. Then they took out one of the best, such a great team in the AFC in the Chiefs, and they did. But I don't think we can look over the fact that they took out the best team in the AFC, which was the Titans the week before. I guess what I wanted to do there was just come to our defense real quickly and say, they didn't peak when they beat the Chiefs
for the regular season.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that crowd at Arrowhead, I'll tell you that. They expected the Chiefs to win.
They should have.
As did the national media. The national media picked the Rams for this game. Yeah, but what a season from Cincinnati. And yeah, they're going to be a problem going forward. We're not going to overlook them.
I know.
Like I think a lot of people did this year.
Sucks as a Titans fan that we've got another behemoth in the AFC coming in, because the Chiefs are going to be there. And, the Ravens are always going to be competitive. Luckily, maybe we're trading the Steelers for the Bengals now. And
maybe the Patriots for the Bills, who are the favorite going into next season, along with Kansas City. It's a stacked AFC.
Yeah, and then don't forget about the Chargers, man. They made a charge this year too, and LA is going to be a nutty place for a while.
My favorite odds to play for a Super Bowl future next year.
I like that. That's smart. What
along
city?
With the Titans, who never get their respect.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens, man. But yeah, we had a good Super Bowl. I really think so. I really hate that it came down to officiating being the talk of a great game like this.
Agreed.
That kills me too. But I mean, what were they thinking when they called that third down penalty on Logan Wilson in coverage there? That was horrible. It was a ticky-tack penalty for sure. And this is something we talk about in baseball all the time. You're okay with an umpire's strike zone being a little off, as long as it's consistent.
If
the players all know,
the
low pitch is going to be called a strike for both teams, Okay, maybe not happy about it, but it's fair and you understand it. But this game, they let pretty much everything go. I mean, we barely saw a flag. The Bengals were the least penalized team in the NFL this year. Not like that was an outlier for them, but they were letting this game play, and we barely saw a flag. And then in the biggest situation of the game at that point, to throw on a ticky tack play, that was kind of surprising. And yes, we know
Yeah,
there were other missed calls earlier in this thing, but that's kind of the point. You know,
that's
Ramsey got
definitely
away
the point.
holding the undershirt earlier on, a much more blatant holding penalty. That play right out of halftime where T. Higgins caught the touchdown after grabbing the face mask of Ramsey,
Yep.
that wasn't called either. You get some stuff on each side there. Maybe it feels fair at the end, but how it feels to me is they were letting these players play. And then once the 2 minute warning hit, we saw flag after flag after flag.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
especially that one, a situation that would have set up a fourth end the game for the Rams.
Yeah, it was honestly, I thought it was a travesty because I loved it just from a sports fan, not like a conspiracy theorist perspective, but from a sports fan perspective. I loved the way this game was called. It wasn't. There were no calls, and I loved it. And they didn't let many egregious things happen. There were a couple that were obvious, but even those I don't think were egregious, like game changing. It was on the edge, and I just loved the way that it was called, and I thought it was a horrible moment to choose to start calling them that way. Now, if I put my conspiracy theorist hat on, it did feel like they decided to call it when they could have saved the game for the Rams, and I never believe
In
those
Los
things.
Angeles,
Yeah, I never believe those things are
right
fully
after the
there, but it was
lawsuit.
true. It was one of the biggest, like in terms of fandoms and like markets and expectations, one of the biggest lopsided Super Bowls I've seen, having Cincinnati in there out of almost nowhere, with admittedly some big stars and some firepower behind them, to go play in LA, versus LA with the team that was, crowned before the season even started, getting Matt Stafford in there and OBJ mid-season, that it felt a little bit that way. But I'm just going to go from the fans' perspective and say it was a shitty time to start calling penalties. You had a great game going, and I couldn't have said it better than you did. Call it consistently, or if you're going to stop calling it consistently, pick a better time to start changing the way that you're evaluating the game.
We hear it all the time. If you're gonna throw a flag in a situation like that changes the game, we see it in basketball. If you're
Yeah.
gonna blow the whistle on a situation that might decide the game, it had better be real damn obvious.
Yep.
And to call it on that play was really shocking. And yeah, like you said, it opens you up to all these conspiracy theories, especially with the NFL desperate to get the LA market kick-started, to reward Stan Kroenke for the lawsuits he had to endure and all the money he poured into getting that stadium built. There's a lot of things you can just kind of side eye a little bit, but I hate that any of that takes away from what was a really well played game.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, we all knew Cooper Kupp was going to beat Eli Apple a bunch of times during this game. I think everybody knew that going into it. And then it happened on the final drive, especially. I mean, there was a lot that went into that. We talked about that almost play by Joe Burrow that would have been an absolutely legendary play if that pass had been complete on fourth down in their desperation attempt to keep this game alive. But can we talk again for a second? Another moment of this game that you had to kind of go on social media and look around for afterwards because the replay crew never showed it to you during the actual game. But on that drive, when we saw that 22-yard slant completion to Kupp that kept that drive going for the Rams, their biggest play on it, that pass by Matt Stafford was unbelievable. I mean, we reposted it on our accounts on at Walk It Off Radio on social media, but you can get out there and look at some different views and different angles and ways they broke this down. But to watch that play unfold in slow motion, to watch Matt Stafford stare down a receiver making a curl pattern while Cup ran a slant behind him. Stafford's eyes constantly on the receiver who stopped on that curl, cocks the arm back to throw, and we see the Bengals safety move towards that. At the same time, he throws the ball, no look, to the other side of that safety, who all of a sudden has to stop his momentum and start going the other way since he broke towards the receiver Stafford was staring down. And that ball hits Cup in stride right behind that safety. That's an unbelievable high-level pass right there. And we didn't hear about that during the game broadcast, but you can check those highlights out, and I would highly recommend it. It's such a great reason when you see that reasoning behind the Rams picking up Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford makes some mistakes. He threw interceptions. He threw a lot of interceptions this season. He threw 2 in the Super Bowl. But Jared Goff's not making that pass. In that situation, you have a quarterback with absolute high-level traits.
Yep.
Making an unbelievable pass to keep this game-winning drive alive in the Super Bowl. And that's why the Rams gave up what they did to get Matt Stafford on that team, because he can make that pass in that situation. I mean, that was a Patrick Mahomes pass. You don't see too many people do that.
That's a great example. I'm glad you pulled out something so specific about what he can do, because I've admired his career from the get-go, because he's always gotten better and better about reading situations, leading the defense, and just getting creative with what he does. He's been that way for a long time. In addition to throwing, I don't know, for 4,000 yards, 10 seasons, 9 or 10 times, one 5,000-yard season. This guy is not just a numbers guy. The interceptions certainly are a thing, but they're in the same level of, I don't know, I don't remember Brett Favre's career stats, but I remember talking about the fact that he would risk it for the biscuit, and he would get those, he would throw those interceptions, but that's because he was willing to live on the edge a little bit. And I think Matt Stafford has that gunslinger mentality that maybe we're seeing Patrick Mahomes navigate to, just because he's regressing to the mean a little bit now that his interceptions ticked up a little bit this season, because he lives on the edge too.
Still not sure what that running backwards plays were at the end of that AFC Championship.
No doubt. And, I don't think that's because he's getting worse. I think that's because he enjoyed the odds in his favor a little bit being on the team that he has. And I think you almost have the opposite with Matt Stafford, where the odds have never been in his favor. He's been lucky enough to play with Calvin Johnson, which is one of the biggest misses in the history of the NFL, to have those two guys playing together and only have numbers and nothing else. But now you're seeing him kind of balance out in the similar way. And it's been cool to see, because he has been one of my favorite players in the NFL for a long time. He is a great quarterback. And, you think he kind of put the nail in a coffin of a Hall of Fame career at this point. I think winning a Super Bowl, and that's really exciting. And it's a very unique redemption story in sports. So you don't see that kind of thing happen in this way, to where somebody puts together such a high profile career, but toils for so long and actually gets the opportunity to become, a legend among all the greats. That was definitely a fun narrative from this Super Bowl.
Hey, Gary Payton had to go to his 16th, 18th year through a ring chase attempt at Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Before he finally got his ring with Miami.
Yeah.
So it happens.
It does, but not many people get to ring chase and actually get it that far in. I think of you mentioned Gary,
a major part of it, instead of, at the end of your career, just kind of being along for the ride.
True. And he has the opportunity now to still do great things. I mean, he's 34 years old, I think. He's got talent around him in a great city and a great setup. It's kind of scary what he could do. And I don't know how far off he is, but maybe he's in legitimate striking distance of taking down some major passing records as he hits 38, 39, or 40, if he can stay healthy enough to do that.
So did you feel like the Rams would still have a chance in this game after those big turning points kind of all went against them? When we talk about our momentum shifts,
Yeah,
Odell Beckham's injury was a big one.
huge.
Look, I'm going to go on record here. I'm going to apologize to Odell Beckham. Again, I think a lot of this blame falls to the replay crew of this game, but I didn't think Odell was really hurt badly. I thought he was staying down for an extra beat because he just dropped a pass, and that's kind of what Odell Beckham does. Just stay down a couple extra beats after dropping a pass, and maybe, this being his free agency year, he might have to take a little bit of time off, be extra careful about this thing, really nurse it. But no, we never got the big replay of that play that saw what happened to his leg. And I hate that I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt there.
You're such a
seems like
skeptic.
it might be a serious injury for Odell Beckham, and that's rough. And we saw this game change pretty heavily when he left it. That did feel like a turning point.
Did.
And then again, of course, right out of halftime, that huge play, the touchdown to T. Higgins on that first play. I mean, you go back to my skepticism there. I'm on record as calling Jalen Ramsey the most overrated player in the NFL. I think every big game you watch Jalen Ramsey and he gets burnt a couple of times. He's not that Darrelle Revis level where teams aren't throwing to him, or prime Richard Sherman, where that side of the field that he's on is just off limits for passes. He gets beat often, it seems like.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
lockdown. He's pesky, but he's not a lockdown guy at all.
He's good, but I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is, or we give him the credit. So it's a little bit in my head already that I'm not really a Jalen Ramsey fan on this point. But then to see that play, to see T. Higgins kind of rake across the face mask there, that should have been a penalty.
Yep.
He did get enough of that face mask for it to be called, 100%. But I don't think Ramsey did himself any favors with the dive and barrel roll after it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, he was obviously hunting the flag after that to try to make it as obvious as possible for the refs. And I think that hurt him on that call. In a game where they were not throwing flags for most of this game, to see someone, so obviously literally take a dive for the flag after a penalty was done to him, and it should have been called. I think that hurt him, and it kind of hurt his sympathy points with viewers like myself too.
Yeah.
Like, man, you could have at least tried to not let that pass go into the end zone after the penalty was done to you.
Yeah.
Instead of rolling out onto the sidelines like that.
Agreed. And he did, and I think part of that also is that he just didn't have great position anyway. Like, certainly the face mask was a part of it and definitely a penalty. But I mean, when you look at it in slow-mo, it almost looks like the face mask was something that took him off, like threw him in that direction, but it wasn't. Like, I think it's pretty clear that he was where he was and was going where he was going. The face mask didn't disrupt it so much. It was just bad position. And I don't think it would have made a difference. I think he would have been better off, certainly in the eyes of, certainly on the field, and probably in the eyes of fans, if he'd have just stuck through that entire play. You're right. But we also know how important in football, and we talk about it in basketball, and of course it's super prevalent in soccer already, but like, you got to sell those things. And this was an anomaly of a game where nothing was working, which is why it pisses me off so much that they made those calls that they did late in the fourth quarter, because they were just not hampering this game at all. And I loved it. It made it more fun to see this happen, and to see the plays not interfered with by the refs the way that they are in a normal game. But it was being called well, I thought, and that you're right, that play definitely stood out.
We saw that. I know we saw the Rams' very next play. The pass goes out off the hands of Skronik, who was only in the game because of Beckham's injury, for an interception for the Bengals. And all of a sudden, this momentum has totally swung in this game.
Yep.
Cincinnati was down 3 going into the half, so that gave them the lead. Then they get the ball back right away. I mean, you thinking in the back of your head that Kansas City game where they erased a big deficit in the second half, and this game looks like it's going Cincinnati's way. Both defenses really stepped up at this point. I mean, we didn't see much offense in the second half after that play, and it was again really impressive. You saw Cooper Cup really stand up on that last drive, where it's a big players make big plays type of thing. And we saw Jamar Chase make some plays too. That one where Ramsey jumped the pass and let him behind him
Yep.
on the Bengals' last drive that ended up being a first down. There were a lot of plays there that could have been big. But again, credit to the defenses, credit to the Rams for making adjustments there by kind of more disguising the way they rushed so that help on Donald wasn't so readily available. And they started getting home on Burrow a lot more in that second half, taking advantage of the mismatches that we all thought would be there going into this game.
Yeah, they really did.
Defense, they stood up when it looked like the Bengals could have taken all the momentum and put this game away. He gave himself a chance there at the end, and
Yep.
you know, for better or for worse, with the referee's help or not, they won the game.
Yep.
They made the plays.
They did make the plays, and you can't take that away from them. And like we talked about at the get-go, it was a good coaching matchup too. Sean McVay did a really good job of adjusting and playing to their strengths, which a lot of the narrative throughout the first part of the game and most of the game was they're not playing to their strengths. Odell Beckham has been coming on as a strength, but he hasn't been, in that category. Their run game has been pretty strong, and it wasn't this season, this game. They weren't getting
neither team had any run game this game.
That's true. Joe Mixon had some stuff come on towards the end, and that great pass was awesome. But overall, no.
Yeah.
It was definitely a pass heavy game, and it wasn't high flying in general, which has kind of made it a borderline boring game for a competitive game. But I think it was definitely a strong narrative going into the game, was that Sean McVay was looking for redemption coming back in after losing in an embarrassing way to the Patriots after having one of the best offenses in the league last time he was in the Super Bowl and only putting up 3 points. But you have to believe that was such a big part of it. Like, Sean McVay was so much more prepared than the coaching on the other side because he's been there and he knew what to do. And he's learned so much over these last few years that you have to give him so much credit for how this team adapted. And I loved seeing that. I really did. I loved seeing how he handled the Odell Beckham injury, how he came out and made ODB part of the or OBJ. Sorry, I always want to say that. He's not an old dirty bastard. But
he had the first touchdown of the game. Your first touchdown scorer of the Super Bowl was Odell Beckham.
And what a great way to keep the other team, to keep the Bengals defense on their toes when Cooper Kupp's going to be such a big part of it. I actually didn't agree with Chris Collingsworth throughout this, saying, you got to get Cooper Kupp more involved. Early on, I didn't think they needed to force that, but they did when they needed to, and that was at the end of the game, and it worked. It was a really great game plan, I really thought, from Sean McVay, from both sides.
Losing Beckham was a big change in this game, too.
It was huge.
Because, that Bengals focus obviously was on Kupp. And to have, Beckham could have potentially had a huge game in the Super Bowl if he had finished it out.
Yep.
The same way T. Higgins had a huge game on the other side with all that Los Angeles focus on Jamar Chase. We have a lot of what ifs coming out of the Super Bowl, but I don't want to focus on any of that because when it comes down to it, we really did get to watch a good game.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, man, but we had a few people over, a little Super Bowl party going on. It was nice to have some semblance of normalcy again. That whole thing, the people in the crowd there and, getting some wings, getting some dips, all sorts of good stuff. I don't know about you. We didn't get your Super Bowl recipes this year. I'm sorry. I know we wanted to get some of that out there, but it was fun. What you drinking right now? Let's get into it a little bit. Let's have some fun with this.
That's right. We're happy hour hanging, dude. Well, I'm kind of bottom barrel now, but so I'll take a step back first and tell you why I'm wearing an apron. right? I'm wearing my Grizz apron because the Grizz are the bomb. First off, like one of the most exciting teams in all of sports right now, and I'm wearing this because I'm making kind of a belated Valentine's dinner here at Mi Casa, Casa Sharp, and I am well, it's more than just sharp, actually, I should say right now. But anyway, I just want to do
You're
justice
not
for all
making
the
it for
residents.
yourself.
That's exactly right. So I've got like a bolognese sauce cooking up. You know, I got all that simmering on the pot or on the stove for a while. But because of that, I'm going to be drinking a little bit of nice red wine tonight, Drew. I'm going to make it a nice, fancy looking little dinner at the, and
Hey,
so
go wild, buddy.
I'm not starting with a beer. Usually I'm doing a beer, but I like when I'm having a nice dinner to start with a cocktail. So I just had a simple vodka with a lemon twist, and it was a nice way to get the night going. No beers tonight, man. No
Yeah,
beers.
get it started up. Get it
Yeah.
started up. Keep it light.
Keep it light. Yeah, it's 80 degrees here in Phoenix. It's warm enough for that. Yeah. What
I like that. I like that.
what are
Well,
you imbibing?
I've got a little opposite there, going with what's become a local Nashville beer from Tailgate Brewery. Ah, I know I was getting made fun of a little bit for drinking these during the Super Bowl, because boy, does that look like a Nickelodeon beer, doesn't it? That's just
That's
beard for kids.
that's perfect. Get them hooked early, man, as they say.
Yeah, this is the PB&J Sour Snack. And I still blame you for getting me onto sours. Still
You're
enjoying
welcome.
those beers. And Tailgate has a wide variety of all sorts of bizarrely flavored sours right now. And this one is PB&J Sour.
I love it. They do. I can't. I'm
Very
always
unique.
amazed at how many flavors and beers they churn through at Tailgate, and I haven't had a bad one there. Honestly, I had some low expectations at Tailgate when they first came into town, totally unfairly, and
Well,
they've exceeded it.
they have long ways since the
They
time as
have come a
well.
long way.
Well,
That's true.
I was also a bit of a early on, but now they've got a big rotating wide variety, and yeah, they've earned that little bit of trust that even as somebody who's in the past made the argument, I want my beers to be beer flavored. Now I'll try pretty much anything. You know, why not? Give me a shot of something, and I've liked most of the ones I tried. Even something as out there as a PB&J sour snack in the Nickelodeon can.
I love it. I love it.
Don't give it to your kids, folks. We got 16 ounces here in this thing too.
Yeah, only give it to them in 12-ounce portions. Everybody knows that.
While you watch the Nickelodeon broadcast of playoff football.
Absolutely.
Enter the slime zone.
So while we're talking football snacks, you know, you've emphasized dips.
Well, we like it. Big shout out, man. The Super Bowl party wouldn't be the same without beers and wings.
Heck yeah. So you've said wings, you've said dips. Are dips the best Super Bowl snack? Is that like, here's what I think, and I'm sorry to preface your question. I'm going to let you mull on it for a second, because I'm going to tell you that I love all kinds of Super Bowl snacks. I love pizza and wings. I love nachos, arguably a dip. But I think that you could have an entire Super Bowl with only chips and dips. Let's just even simplify it down to that, and be okay. And so I think dips are the most essential and versatile Super Bowl snack. What do you think?
You know, I think I'm on board with this. I was going to say that gotta on finger foods. That's the most important to me. Nobody wants to sit there with a fork during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
You got to have stuff
baseline.
you can grab.
Yeah,
And dips are essential for this, especially with COVID worries still out there.
true.
I had a bunch of mini solo cups out there if anyone wanted their own individual dip cups to double dip to their heart's content.
Genius.
So let's do that. for a bunch of different dips out there. You know, we had spinach artichoke dips and rotel dip and your sour cream chip dip. All the classics there. Our resident Cincinnati fan made a skyline dip, a skyline chili dip,
Ooh, that
and
sounds
why
fancy.
I will never be a skyline chili defender. In dip form, pretty damn tasty. I know probably more popular in Cincinnati than it was at a party here, but hey. And we'll get some Rheingeist beers in there, you know,
Cool.
some local Cincinnati brews. I always enjoy when people go the extra mile to line it up with your local teams. So appreciate that. But yeah, man, I'm with you. Give the dips. I'll always do pigs and blankets. That's a go-to for me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. A
Gotta have
perfect
them
finger
pigs and
food.
them
Yep,
blankets.
yep.
Some spicy mustard or some horseradish mustard.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's the stuff.
that is. That's a win. I forget. I think that's essential also, and I wish I'd have thought about that for my snack this time. We did jalapeno poppers, so pretty tasty. But that's it. That's it. It was a pretty mellow Super Bowl over on my end. But I did spend the morning at the Phoenix Open, which is why
Oh
it
man,
wound up being a little chill for me. I was definitely worn out after that,
we saw some videos of that one too. I'm surprised you were on your feet for the game.
dude. And I showed up
Were you
early
a polo
and
bro?
we were in what's that?
Were you a polo bro?
No, I
I think that was the
actually
entire crowd in the videos we saw.
I intentionally didn't wear a polo. And man, I was on the bus from the parking lot over to the thing, and there was a guy in front of me who appended and uh prefixed. What is it? What do you do before a sentence? Either way, he everything was bro. It was like, bro, we did this and it was so much fun, bro. And I feel bad making fun of people like that because I talk like that sometimes too. I'm a dude. I dude all the time. But
You
it was
love it when the
annoying as
stereotype shoves itself right in your
oh
face
dude, it
there.
was just bro, bro, bro. And so anyway, I did do that and got us some breakfast burritos and they had vegan chicken sandwiches there. Man, life was good at the golf course, TPC Scottsdale.
That looked like that looked like quite the shit show, to be honest. In some of those videos we saw, especially that hole in one at the 16th with
Yeah.
the beer cans raining down.
Yep.
Ah,
It is a total
that's not
shit
where you
show.
were stood up, huh?
No,
Were you
no, no.
posted up?
I was posted up on 18, which was kind of nice. We were in a much more relaxed area right
Okay,
off the
go for the
water there.
winners.
Yep, yep. But of course, only there for the first part of the day, so we only got to see a few groups come through. But got to see Jordan Spieth, which was kind of fun, even though he's been a turd recently. And it was you want to talk about epic sports days? Doesn't get much better than going to the golf tournament, coming home and watching the Super Bowl.
Man, that sounds like a day, buddy.
Life is good.
Uh, good job, good job. And then you get to go straight into Valentine's Day this year.
Heck yeah,
So
yeah. Now
we come off probably the least sexy holiday there is, right? I don't think any lady's like, oh, you know what gets me going is my man on Super Bowl Sunday when he's
yeah,
covered in wing sauce and shouting at the TV,
yeah. When he's
farting up a
resting
six-pack.
resting his dip cup on his belly, and not like a spit dip cup, but sometimes that's true also. Not for me, but for others.
God damn, we love Super Bowl Sunday.
I know it is my natural state. So clearly, my natural state is not
Well, you
sexy.
got to roll into that for Valentine's Day. So hey, this is a year, all right.
Whew.
And you're doing an extra day here, so congratulations
Thank
and
you.
good luck.
Thank you.
And of course, we are rolling out our ability for you to show some love to our radio station, WXNA, here this week as well, with our
Membership.
first ever membership drive.
Love it.
You can jump in right now and be one of the first 500 to be on board with WXNA memberships. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's pretty sweet. We got all the firework themed stuff going on there to match up with our logo, obviously.
The X. I love it.
I brought out this old Team WXNA shirt from our games when we used to play against other institutions around town on field days. But now it's not just for us as the DJs. It's available for all of our listeners to be part of Team WXNA, to be members, to head on over to WXNAFM.org and check out those membership tiers, all the perks you can get. And let's be honest, do you still want to support Spotify? Or do you want to give your money to an incredible local institution that really appreciates every single one of its members? I mean,
Well said.
look, we sign up for so much goofy stuff nowadays. I'm subscribed to so many things I don't even remember nowadays, but something like WXNA, that every member is so special, and you can be part of the first 500 on the ground floor of us opening up our membership rolls right now. It's really an exciting time. So if that interests you in any way, if you like what we're doing here, getting to be on your radio every Sunday night with the most unique sports talk in town, with sports talk with your buddies instead of sports
Barroom
talk
banter
that yells at you and yeah, it tries to make you think that, oh, I'm going to call those idiots. Nah, I mean, you can think that about us too.
Yeah, that's
We
fair.
don't mind.
You can.
But
We've been called idiots. We've been called worse, but yes.
we're here because we love sports, and we're not trying to hot take you. We're not trying to get you to, obviously we're so shit at social media. We're not trying to make you our followers or pat our numbers out or anything. We just want to talk sports with our bros.
That's right.
It's a great time.
It's what we do best. We're certainly practiced at it. We've been doing this for almost 5 years. Are we almost at 5 years?
Almost 5 years.
Hot damn. Dude.
Yeah, and and we have both individually throughout Nashville been involved in other projects around town before this, and put in our dues, and done so much. This is just really what we love to do, and we got big plans for the future, for more stuff for you guys, for everybody out there who's we've had fun playing fantasy football against, or going to meetups and watching games, or seeing in the crowd out at live games. That's why we do it.
We're proud of it.
Thank every one of you, and it's a lot of fun. And WXNA lets us do that, so we couldn't recommend higher if you want to hop on that membership train right now. But let's I just thought that was a good time to mention.
It was. I think that was perfect.
About our love and starting that thing up on Valentine's Day this year. This big push this week for our first 500 listeners. So we're gonna, hope you guys get in on that and can be part of something real special. But I also wanted to make sure we get into some talk about what you mentioned earlier. One of our local teams, the Memphis Grizzlies, the closest NBA team to Nashville, our hometown team as it is, just kicking ass and taking names right now. This week has been another show-off period. Right now we've got, John Morant starting the All-Star game and just coming out with incredible quotes every post-game interview. This is a fun team right now.
Just
as
beyond.
Much as we feel like we've said that over the years, to see them just tearing it up at the top of the Western Conference right now and slicing and dicing all challengers has been a blast.
Beyond what we could have ever expected. Like, we could not have predicted this. And like performance-wise, talent-wise, personality-wise, just so freaking cool, man. And what's fun is like this team is not coming out in a dud year. They've got the Suns are on a tear. The Warriors are on a tear. They've been consistently incredible. The Eastern Conference doesn't have anybody standing out that much, but they're all good. Like all those teams again at the top are not middling. They're solid contender teams. And then the Grizz come out and are doing this at a level matching all of them. They've had the best record in the NBA since in 2022. And I think since like mid-December, something like that, 22-4 or something. It's stupid. Drew, it's just stupid what they're doing. And I love it. Like I can't think of stupid fun. I can't think of a group of guys or a city or a region that deserves it more. It's an overlooked basketball mecca. And it's an area that, is adjacent to Sportstown, USA in Nashville, Tennessee, which we always talk about. I mean, really it's a major sports city where this is appreciated and should be something that catches fire more than even grit and grind did, because that was a different era of sports in both of those cities and around here. Um, this should change the game, and I love it. It's just one of the coolest things I've seen in sports that I love in a long time. Yeah, it's fun for the Grizz right now. I think we got you, Drew. I think we're losing some audio, but it's going to be fun to see Ja. What would Ja do? What will Ja do in the All-Star game? That is, talk about the ultimate showcase of a talent like that. Totally deserving to be in the starting lineup.
And we see Desmond Bain in the 3-point contest. Again, totally deserving, one of the best
Totally
shooters in the league
deserving.
this year. Getting to watch this Memphis team right now is just a privilege. And it's not too far away from grit and grind.
True.
I know this flash, this show, but just think about the grit that we saw with John Morant and that spectacular quote about, we coming straight up the chimney, we want all the smoke. Now that they're at the top of the league and people are gunning for them. And then you see the next game comes out there and he proves that he can walk the walk as well. When Marcus Morris with that big time flagrant foul that got thrown out of the game, pulling Ja out of the air like that, hitting him in the face, he just bounced right back up and refused to get into any war of words. Just said, "I'm good." He didn't hurt me.
Nope.
Let's go. Let's play
resilient
ball.
And not this not a Jalen Ramsey type, let's say,
when your small, flashy leader gets knocked down like that and bounces right back up and says,
bring it on.
Just give me all the smoke. Let's go. I want it. It says something, and it's so Memphis basketball.
Yep.
And yeah, we just couldn't be more excited with what this team's doing right now, and I'm stoked for All-Star Weekend.
Dude, I can't wait. And I'm stoked for visiting Nashville, Tennessee, and being at WXNA's studio with you to talk about all of those things. Talk about Ja in the All-Star game, and to talk about what's going on with the Predators, and talk about MLS starting up, which is all happening. We're all on the brink of all those things, and we get to kick it off, in Nashville with a Nashville Predators outdoor hockey game. Man,
hell yeah, bring it on back here, buddy. We're gonna be there at Nissan Stadium to watch some hockey, and that's going to be an event. You know how Nashville puts on a show. I can't wait for this. The Preds have, I don't really want to say overachieved, because we believed in the competitiveness of the competitive rebuild, but the Preds are there in the playoff picture. We had a fun All-Star weekend with Roman Josi and UC Saros showing out, and now we get them coming back. That loss yesterday, and to restart the season was a little tough.
It was,
but we still got hopes for this Preds team, and we've got this great showcase event coming up in just a couple weeks now, where you'll be back in town. We'll have a crew out there for it. And yeah, I absolutely can't wait for one of the most exciting weeks in Preds hockey, which is really saying something, given how much we talk about their multiple playoff runs, the Stanley Cup run, the All-Star weekend that was held here. But we've got the Pekka Rinne retirement game, jersey retirement ceremony game, followed by the outdoor game at Nissan Stadium. And man, it's going to be an absolute blast. It's going to be a scene here in Nashville.
As it should be. Smashville, thank you. Yeah, as it should be. It's still one of the coolest scenes around, and all that we're seeing are the rising tides and all the boats floating around what the Predators did, and it doesn't take away from how exciting that team is. It just means that we've got teams that are all playoff bound in the Titans and the Nash SC and the Grizz all around us, and you can't ask for a better time to be a Nashville and Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee and Tennessee in general sports fan.
Let's go, baby. Great. Let's go.
Heck yeah, man.
Not to mention, the Olympics are going on right now.
Oh yeah, those things. That's right. Those snuck up on me.
And before we get out of here, I did want to highlight just one major story there. There's been a few big stories already, and I'm sure we'll get into this as we have time on the show on WXNA on Sunday nights. We've got the inevitable, it seems like, USA versus Canada gold medal matchup for the women's hockey championship. We're
Yep.
tilting towards that direction for the men's hockey game, despite no NHLers in it and it getting interesting again. There's still a little ways to go there. We've saw some controversy, obviously, in figure skating and in snowboarding, although we've also seen some unbelievable historic moves in both of those as well. But the story I wanted to point out for sure before we left here is Aaron Jackson winning gold at the 500-meter speed skating, because that is just such a beautiful sports story there. With her having a bad race in qualifying, finishing out of the qualifying for the Olympics, and her teammate, Brittany Bowe, who actually won that race, saying, I'm going to give up my spot because Aaron Jackson's our best hope for a medal. You know, she's done this. She deserves this spot.
That is cool.
And I want her to be there representing the United States. And Bowe ended up actually in a beautifully karmic moment getting to go to the Olympics as well for that same race in a substitute spot. So we got to see Aaron Jackson, who might not have qualified, well, didn't qualify, but might not have been in this race. And then she goes and she does win gold in that
How cool is
500-meter
that?
speed skating race. Her teammate, Brittany Bowe, that gets to be there and so excited for her. I mean, the other two American skaters, Bowe and, sorry, forget her name, but the other qualifying skater finished far out of medal position. So, you know, letting Aaron Jackson be there, being the first Black woman to win a gold medal in speed skating, and just to have it in a situation like that, you know, it really shows that even in this, what's been a difficult Olympics so far to root for, you know, with between COVID and China and Russian doping scandals again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a beautiful story to me of what the Olympic spirit really is, and seeing someone like Jackson, who was already such an amazing story,
Yeah.
you know, being in the Olympics 4 years ago after picking up the sport 1 year ago, and now 5 years into strapping on speed skates, bringing home the gold medal with a chance for more is just absolutely phenomenal story.
It is what the Olympic spirit is. I mean, I wish I had more to add to that, Drew, but like I couldn't, you said it so beautifully. Like, what a great narrative about amidst everything that's going on there. And even outside of this, when we talk about how, you know, the Olympics are a global unifier, or at least they try to be, they're a global separator sometimes too, because it brings all this controversy to the forefront in a way also. But there's always these stories, and these are the things that it exists for. These are the reasons we watch it. These are the things we talk about for years to come, and you know, that are written in lore. And I don't want to say it's an average Joe that gets the chance to do that, but what I love about, because she's not average, she can do an incredible thing, but I love that the Olympics dig deep into the, you know, the citizenship and the diaspora that is in each country, and allows these folks that aren't the LeBron Jameses and aren't, you know, the Patrick Mahomeses or the Matt Staffords or the Odell Beckhams to get that time to have their sports story and be written in the book and be written in the lore and be a legend. And that's a great example of it. It's just too freaking cool. It's so much fun. And I appreciate that you highlighted that, because those are the things we need to find amidst these Winter Olympics.
Yeah, and it's just fun, man, watching these sports that you might not, even us, you know, your radio sports hosts might not know much about.
True.
I'll be honest with you, watching the ice dancing finals the other night, I couldn't tell you a damn thing about ice dancing. I'm not even sure 100% on what the difference is between it and regular pairs figure skating, besides there's less crazy jumps and you do lifts.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
still watching those finals, I could tell right away that French team that ended up winning gold was just head and shoulders above with a spectacular performance.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even need to know the sport you're watching sometimes to recognize greatness when you see it.
True.
And it's very cool that the Olympics gives us so many chances to do that.
True. True. Yep. And you learn a little bit about a sport too. You come around a little bit to understanding it and appreciating it and everything those folks have put into it. It's really special. What a cool week in sports, man. I'm so glad we got to recap it together.
Hell yeah, man. It's always great to talk to you, to see you, buddy. It'll be great to have
Feelings
you back in
mutual.
the studio in person again later this month for a big week in Nashville sports.
Cannot
And
wait.
yeah, happy Super Bowl Sunday to everybody. Hit up wxnafm.org. Check in on membership. You can give us a follow or shout us out anytime on your social media at Walk It Off Radio. And as always, Sunday nights, WXNA. Cheers, buddy. Enjoy that
Cheers.
dinner.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, brother.